Let's get to it. Guys, this is a big one. We got a lot of different posts that get interaction over the past month. This has been the most engaged post where everyone seems to comment. We got a lot of others with a lot of comments, but this one, it varied so much with so many comments that it's very debatable. Okay. And for those who know retro game systems, tune in, stay tuned. I know you might see me blocking the systems, but we will go over each one. What's that last one? Panasonic 3DO behind me. Okay. We will go over each and every one. But first, let's show exactly what was going on that Facebook page. I'm going to pull that up now, and I want to actually show you guys how varied it was. There was no one answer for this one. Okay, let's quick hit share. All right, we got a lot going on the Facebook page. I'm gonna scroll down past, like I told you, we got a lot of people on the Facebook page. Nick Moses 05. Also, this is on Apple, Spotify, all those other good places. So we're gonna share the screen. I'm gonna make sure now everybody should be able to see that correctly. If you have any issues, please let me know. But you can see that's me, my pretty face, live right now. I don't know why on Facebook it does that. It doesn't pull in the one that's going on, but nonetheless, it says happening now. Let's go ahead and go down to it. Like I told you, we got a lot of different debate topics, but the main one I want to pull up is right around here, and still waiting. I told you we got a lot of posts too. So if you don't know, we got a lot of gaming news, a lot of funny things. We went over this topic that's about to show now, because I know it's coming up. Here we are, right here. We went over this topic before about, if PlayStation 2 and Xbox never existed. This is something you can tune in for the other video if you want to see that. Which one would you get, GameCube or Dreamcast? We went over that and discussed it. But this is the one here. Which one is the best failed console? Okay. So as you can see, we have Sega Dreamcast, PlayStation Vita, Wii U, Ouya, Sega Saturn, and Panasonic 3DO. Okay. Nice mixed variety of choice. I like it. So let's go through the comments real fast, and I'm going to break everything down. Now, for those who do not know, once I start breaking stuff down, you're going to have to get your popcorn, man. You're going to have to get the drink, because I got the data, man. I got it. Okay? So, which one of these consoles deserve better? So, Corey says it would have to be the Wii U. Very underrated console. All right? And I will say, Corey, you are right. The Wii U, very underrated. It was one of those systems where I finally got to play a full console, full games on the crapper. So it was beautiful. I will say Wii U. Then we have Zach Wood. My man said Dreamcast, then Wii U. Okay, Dreamcast, then Wii U. For those who don't know, Dreamcast, revolutionary. Okay, we're going to break that down. But Sega's console, I think it was right after the Sega Saturn, and Saturn. I don't know how I said it. I feel like I need to take a sip. So Jesse Potter, Dreamcast. Belvar, Dreamcast. We got 2 more Dreamcast. That's 3. All right. Wes Jordan, 100% the Vita. Came out too soon. Great for emulation too. I cannot disagree with Wes on that. Okay, so that's a good way to analyze it. Wes. Now, I'm going to go to the chat too. I have a whole tier list. No, we got somebody with a tier list. I like that. I like the tier list. Now, Colt Hardick said Wii U. All right, and that's another Colt too. Is that Corey and then Colt Hardick. Wii U. All right, so much homebrew can be done with it. RetroArch on the Wii U for the win. Wii U is a very easy to mod console as well. So, man, we got more comments. We're not done. Marcus, Vita, Vita. Vita. Look at Frank and Bree following up with the Vitas. Vita's strong in here. Now we got 4 Vitas. We got a lot of Dreamcast. We got a couple Wii U's in there. Sega Saturn. My man, Kenji. All right, we're going to give you alias from now on, man. Kenji said Sega Saturn and said we need to talk about this on the podcast. You know what? We talking about it. All right. Now, this may not be a podcast special, right? But it's good enough for me. So, Nick Giles, my dog. We go back. Ajax, Flapjacks. You know what I mean? Knapsacks. Crack sacks. Okay, he says Sega Saturn. Jesse Owens, Sega Saturn. Do you see where I'm at right now? Do you see where I'm at right now? I'm so torn. Already, we got so many different people. Vitas, Wii U, Sega Saturn, Dreamcast. We got multiple consoles. Let's continue. Ken, Ouya, hands down. You know what, man? Talk yo ish, Ken. Y'all can tell him I said that live. Okay? Talk your ish. Represent Ouya. Ain't nobody else gonna say Ouya. They don't understand. They don't understand. Now, done with that. We can pull me back up. Big screen. Okay. So we're gonna go over each and every single one. I'm going to break it down from the rooter to the tutor of each one of these consoles. And believe me, you need to go ahead and get your drink, sit down, relax. If you're watching this on the recap, this is perfect time. You can pause it. You can do whatever you need to. If you listen to it on the podcast, it's nice. You can pause and everything. But if you're live, just go ahead and get everything ready. Okay? Sippy sip. Let's get to it. I got a couple things that I think should be highlighted for each of these consoles. Let's start with the first. Why did each console fail? I think that's a big deal. Okay? Excuse me. I think that's a very huge deal on why the console failed. Okay? So let's start there. I'm gonna go down the list, and I got the systems in front of me, so I don't have to look at the picture. Okay, so Sega Dreamcast. Okay, I got a few notes here, but I'm just kind of go through it real quick. First, poor timing. I think it was bad timing when the Sega Dreamcast came out. I believe shortly after the PlayStation 2 was going to be released. So it was like Sega Dreamcast was ahead of the curve a little bit at the wrong time. I know PlayStation 2 was out. I'm not sure. When did the PlayStation 2 release? Anybody help me out? When did it? Because from what I remember, I feel like the PlayStation 2 kind of overshadowed the Sega Dreamcast when it came out. I had a PlayStation 2, Grand Theft Auto 3. I did not play my Dreamcast besides sports titles after that, but there were wonderful titles on the Dreamcast. But that's one thing. I think it was just very bad timing. Okay. Another one, I think that the piracy side of it played a huge part. For those who do not know, Sega Dreamcast was one of those systems that was a CD-based system that you could simply put into your CD burner. You can use a software like Clone, I think it was Clone CD and Clone DVD, or Image Burn, or any one of those CD copying softwares. You can do a direct image-to-image copy, and that game would work on the Sega Dreamcast. Excuse me. Yes, you could burn out a game and play it. There was no piracy protection. And I'm going to tell you how bad it was. If the game was small, let's say the game might have been 100 megabytes. You get another one that's 400 megabytes, another one that's 700 megabytes. You can put it all on one disc. You can put the one disc in there and bam, go through. Now, I do believe Dreamcast was using DVDs. Excuse me if I said CDs. I do believe, because that was around the CD DVD era. And I know PlayStation 2 was DVD playback. So you could watch the movies on PlayStation 2. You just put it in and play it. Dreamcast, I think it was a little different. You had to set up the CD a certain way, and then it would work. But nonetheless, that was a big thing because people would literally go to family videos. I think Blockbuster was kind of dead at this time. So there was like family videos, other places where you can go, libraries, to rent games. And people would rent games and copy them and take them right back, and you would have a brand new Dreamcast game. So I think that was another factor that really hurt it. The other thing I mentioned was the DVD playback. I don't recall, and somebody let me know if I'm wrong. Did Dreamcast have DVD playback capabilities? I don't think it did. And I recall Sony PlayStation, many reps broke with a PlayStation for a CD player. They was using PlayStations for CD players way back, and the DVD capabilities came back, and people started using PlayStation 2s for DVD players. Same thing when PlayStation 3 came along. They used it for Blu-ray, and it's kind of the thing that Sony has done with those systems at the time, and I think that really hurt. And also Sega was they were really doing bad, man. Saturn wasn't doing too good, and then you come out with this system. So it was just a follow-up, like bam, bam, two bad ones. So that's for Sega Dreamcast. Nonetheless, okay, PlayStation Vita, okay, and I got notes here to back up even my notes. I'm real. All right, you got notes to back up your notes, okay? So I'm going to go over PlayStation Vita. One, cost. Yo, the Vita, hold up. I took this down. The PlayStation Vita, when it was released, okay, was $249.99. So $250, y'all, for the Wi-Fi model. And it was $299 for the Wi-Fi 3G model. Guys, we talking the price of a full console. All these consoles we're naming right now, the same price. So you're convincing someone to spend the same amount that they spend on that handheld that they spend on the console, which is something the Nintendo Switch is doing now. But the Nintendo Switch has other things. It has a dock to give you the full, TV. And, now it's running. You don't have to worry about, it's overheating because I'm overclocking it after I mod it. No, put it in your dock, man. Chill out. What you doing? This is another subject. My bad. I'm getting off. But nonetheless, that was one thing. Extremely high cost. Okay. Some people said games. I didn't put games on the list, okay? I actually thought the games were pretty good. PSP was way longer for a list of games, but I thought the games were pretty good. But you had people talk about the games. Oh, memory cards. I see memory cards on my list. Yo, hold on. Let me get some to y'all. PlayStation Vita. I don't know Sony why they did this, but Sony decided to go with a proprietary memory card. Okay? So to give you an idea, it's as if the Nintendo Switch came out and decided not to use micro SD cards, to use a new format, to where you couldn't just buy any SD card from Amazon or anywhere. You had to get this specific SD card. Very bad. Frank, I see you tuning in. Thank you, Frank. Thank you for tuning in. Vita, favorite. I see you. Frank, we got Frank with the Vita. Okay, we're speaking of the Vita. So memory cards were proprietary, which means only used on the PlayStation Vita. These memory cards were priced, okay? And this is back in the day, y'all, so I don't want y'all to get to thinking. Like, I think the system, when did the system come out? All right, I'm telling y'all, I got everything. I got all my facts. So the system was, 2011. So this is 2011. This ain't 12 years ago. I want y'all to work with me. 12 years ago, PlayStation Vita memory cards were priced at $19.99 for a 4 gigabyte card. Y'all, $20 for a 4 gigabyte card that can't be used on nothing else. Only on the Vita. Can't be used on your cameras, can't be used, on your phone later, nothing. Strictly on the Vita. And $20. You hear that now? Oh, $20 is nothing. Yeah. You spend $20 now. How many gigabytes are you getting? 64? On an SD card that comes with an adapter. Okay, this is proprietary memory card, 4 gigabytes, $19.99. And for those who know the Vita game sizes, talk to me. All right. So then you had $99. I'll repeat, y'all. $100, 100 smacks, 100 buckaroos, $100, 100 cash, cold cash, for a 32 gigabyte memory card. If I had my soundboard going right now, I ain't even worried about the soundboard because I'm on one right now. Let me take another sip. $100 for a 30 gigabyte memory card. I'm sorry, was another reason why the PlayStation Vita was gonna fail. All right. Now, what else? I did put, this is another thing I mentioned. That was at a time where it was a portable console, but phones were becoming powerful enough to play very good mobile games. So it entered the market at a tough time where mobile games were available to a lot of people for free. That's when it kind of started. So bam, there you go. And I got my man, Dr. Specimen. Thank you for that. Right now, you can find a 256 gigabyte SanDisk card for $20. So that's just to give you an idea, okay, from one to the other. You get a $20 4 gigabyte card in 2011 versus a 256 gigabyte card now, which is a SanDisk card, by the way, can be used on multiple things, anything for $20. So there goes the Vita. So let's move on because I'm trashing the Vita enough. And Vita's a great system. I agree with my man Frank. It's a great system. For those who don't know, I can click this too and pull up. I'm trying to go through. My bad if I don't get to. Hold on. We good? We good? The camera? Okay, we good. All right, there we go. So next, Nintendo Wii U. Oh, everybody's favorite. It's just something about the Wii U, man. It's something about that before the Switch came. But nonetheless, why did the Wii U suffer? Okay, I got my notes here. So first thing, I think marketing was bad on Nintendo. Yes, I don't think Nintendo marketed right. I think there's a lot of other. I'm gonna give you a prime example. Earlier on, I said it was one of the first consoles, a full console that I remember playing on the crapper. Why not do a commercial doing that? Why not have a commercial where there's actually an older male or a teen or something else? Hold on, mom. I can't cut off my game. He's going to the bathroom. Oh, he goes downstairs. He goes upstairs. He's still playing the game, and he finished beating the boss, right? The marketing was just bad. They just kind of released it like, hey, here's a new system. And, this is a controller. No, it's not a screen. It's a controller for the console over there. It was just very, very confusing. Naming, dumb. Okay. Wii U. If right now, let's talk about the Switch. You got the Switch. You have the Switch Lite. You have the Switch OLED. And notice these are the same name. If you came out with a Switch, let's say a Switch U, the only reason we would think this is a different console or a predecessor is because the Wii U. Okay, because Wii U, people thought it was another version of the Wii that did not look the same. Very bad, marketing wise. Okay, dual screen gameplay, because you got the one big screen that was hard. I could see, even though you have these other games, you have controllers, you needed to have multiple screens. And that was something that would have cost, but I think should have been offered. And there should have been games and other things in marketing to show the benefit of owning multiple screens. I think it would have been a nice cash out. But nonetheless, man, my fingers are rubbing the ink off this paper. It didn't attract enough audience by doing all that. Also, the game lineup was and there were those select few hits that it had. It had a select few hits. Talking about them hits it had was hits. Okay. So now let's get to the Ouya. All right, the Ouya. Ouya, I believe, was a few things. One, I put down here that it was hardware limitations because I do believe at the time it was trying to bring Android and mobile gaming to a television so you could be able to sit with your family and be able to, go ahead. Hey, we're having a great time and we cut on Diner Dash and we're both playing, right? But then you had certain games that would not run on it. A lot of mobile games started becoming a lot more powerful. There were hardware limitations on what you could connect to it to be able to play these games. So a lot of different hardware limitations. So I just put hardware limitations on there. And at the time it just got smashed. I mean, it was already too much stuff out there. It was Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft. The whole gaming market was sold up, done, dizzy, dead. Okay, was no coming back from that. I think Ouya just another thing with bad timing. So that's another one with bad timing. So that's it for the Ouya. It's not really much, but I think the Ouya, the biggest thing that a lot of people don't understand about a Ouya is it's underrated. And we'll talk more about that. We'll get more into it of why it's underrated. Next, Sega Saturn. Okay. I want to talk specifically about the Sega Saturn. Okay. Big thing that I've heard. Okay. And I'm not a developer, but I do interviews with developers, right? And one thing I have heard from many developers is when you're developing for certain hardware versus others. It's a big thing. Some hardware you may be capable to do some things that you're not on others. And from my understanding, the Saturn hardware was very complex at the time. There wasn't many people developing games for it. So that left the game list kind of short. I do remember playing games like I think it was Fighting Vipers. That was a good port. But then you had games that, what was it? The Horde, Knights. If those remember Knights, beautiful game. These games were other games that were developed for Saturn, but the architecture very hard to develop for. And you've seen that with the Mortal Kombat, I think Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 and other games that took a long time to just get right on the console. Another one, early release. It was crazy. But this is a console that had an early release. So just imagine if Xbox Series X was going to come out and it says, hey, we're going to come out, on Independence Day, July 4th. We're going to drop the big one. Boom. They go like that. But next thing you know, when they drop it, it's actually June 4th. And you could have got one already. You pre-ordered it, though, for July 4th. And next thing you know, money comes out your account. You didn't expect it, and you get an overdraft charge. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's just nasty work. You can't do that. That was very, very bad. Now, for the Saturn, I did get some extra stuff here, okay? The Sega Saturn had a dual CPU architecture, okay? And that's what made it difficult. Now, I'm not too familiar with the dual CPU architecture, but it was a big thing, okay, that Saturn was trying to push the hardware envelope. Back then, a lot of people don't know the bit thing was so, oh my gosh, 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, 54-bit, 128-bit, 256-bit. Like, it was just all a marketing schmam. Once you get to a certain point, the changes become minimal at some point. So what if I say, hey, this one's 2 times it, but you look at it and they look exactly the same? So in marketing, it was all marketing for that nonetheless. But that's why the Sega Saturn, boom, it went down. And that's pretty easy. And also you had Sony out there. Sony was killing the game. Major lineup. But Saturn had a lot of great games that I love, man. Saturn is one of my top systems out of this list too. So yeah, unfortunately, but that's why I died. Just not a great game list. A lot of developers didn't want to work with it. Sony was out there smashing it, and early release, right? Panasonic 3DO. Here we go. A lot of people love Panasonic 3DO. It is like a culture in gaming to talk about Panasonic 3DO. But really expensive. That was another one. I want to go ahead and talk about that. Now, the Panasonic 3DO, I'm going to just give you guys an idea. I want you guys to take a guess. Okay, now he said Saturn. Okay, Saturn, bad price. You know what? I'm with you on that, Frank. But what the difference was, at least the Saturn price was based on the hardware. They had the dual CPU. They were charging more because the hardware, they had to make back some of that money for the hardware, right? But the downside was you're charging more for the hardware, but they're not getting the games out of it. And they're leaning on certain titles like Virtua Fighter, Fighting Vipers, and things like that. So now, my man, Dr. Specimen on it, but I'm going to go ahead and repeat it. You are correct, sir. So the Panasonic 3DO was way too expensive. Another system that is not on this list, and notice you don't see Neo Geo, okay, on failed console. You know why? Because Neo Geo actually was arcade ports before its time, and it worked. You just had to pay for it, okay? It was a lot. Everything was great. You just had to pay the money. Panasonic 3DO, you paid the money. You didn't get the money worth, okay? But the Panasonic 3DO was priced at $699.99. I tried to trick them. It was $700, man, okay? $700 at launch, okay? You compare that to $300. It's a no-brainer. Bro, I'm going to pay $300 and look how many games I can get. And I believe games at the time were priced at $40. Yo, I can get a list of games. Forget games. I can get accessories. I can bring my friends along. Man, I can get everything. Okay? Yes, I agree. Dr. Spencer, he's right. Today, oh my goodness. Today, that's $1,700. That's $1,700. All right? That's ridiculous. Okay? So definitely price was the death of the 3DO. And I did also put it lacked the quality games. It did. It lacked quality games. But, you know, $700. I mean, who wants to make games for that? You know what I mean? And nobody's going to play it. Nobody's going to play it. So now that is why each console failed. Number one. Number two, and I told y'all, we get into it. I told you, get your popcorn. This is juicy. I told you, all valuable stuff. We got people putting in. This is valuable, good stuff. And once I finish, I want to bring in anyone who wants to come in. We're going to discuss any of the topics. I want to hear, what do you think is your best console? Now, I just want to say now, for on the record, if I had to pick a console, it would be a tough one for me. But there's three. And the top three for me are Sega Dreamcast, Sega Saturn, and believe it or not, drum roll, Wii U. Okay. And Wii U may be my number one, believe it or not. Wii U would be my number one. And Sega Dreamcast will probably come number two, and then Sega Saturn. All right. So there go my list. I gave you my top three. The bottom three, Vita, Ouya, 3DO. There you go. Now, number two. What made each console special? This is a big thing because a lot of people want to say like, oh, the console was special because, you know, the Wii U had a screen. You know, okay, maybe that's one thing. The Dreamcast had a controller that was iconic, and football game that had Madden go to the NFL saying, please let us sign, please. Right? Maybe. But I took down some good notes, y'all. I'm telling you, I'm on a roll today, man. I was on one. I'm like, yo, I'm going through. I played these systems too. All right. So, Sega Dreamcast, y'all already know what I'm about to say. Visual memory unit. Yes. I'm sorry. Still to this day, nothing to me has... the Wii controllers for the Wii are very innovative. I must say that is probably number one in innovation for me. But runner-up is the visual memory unit for the Sega Dreamcast. It's so underrated. It was a memory card that saved your games, which, by the way, every console had memory cards at this time. But you didn't get enough out your memory cards. And there were things being done, right? I remember Sony doing things like putting characters, like logos and things when you save your games. When you look at your game saves, that is nice. Oh my gosh. Like, the visual memory unit allowed you to be able to pick plays in Madden without your opponent seeing. So you could look down and pick your play. You didn't even have to look at the screen. Beautiful. You could be reminded of certain things. Now, they didn't make a great use of it, I will say that, but Madden alone was enough for me. But they did do some other things. The beautiful thing is when you take it out, you could also take that with you, and you could go ahead and do whatever. You could take it and play it. You could take it to your homies joint, plug it in. You got your saves. Maybe you got a pet that you're taking care of. Oh, let me feed my pet real quick. You in class, feed my pet. Visual memory unit. It was a walking Tamagotchi / memory card. And y'all know how hot Tamagotchi was back then. Sega, kudos. Beautiful, beautiful job. Okay, beautiful. Now that's just for me. Okay, I can go into other things, but that VMU set the tone. Okay. Next thing is arcade game ports. It had some of the best arcade game ports. Great games too. They played smooth. Who remembers Power Stone? Oh my gosh. Power Stone, such a beautiful game. Sports games played beautiful. The 2K series took off on Dreamcast. I remember every hood. I was in some ghetto areas at the time. I ain't gonna lie. And every hood dude had it in there, man. Get on the 2K. You know what I mean? And they look so real back then. It looked way better than Madden. And Madden had where the AI was supposed to be a lot more sophisticated, but at the time people didn't care. It was gameplay. All right. But also Jet Set Radio. Like, do we got to say anything else? Jet Set Radio. These arcade ports were amazing, man. Okay. So let's move on. Vita. Oh man, where do I start? It's a lot of things with the Vita I could say, but I can't play favoritism. Okay. I can't play favoritism. Vita, I'm gonna say I got graphics. Vita looks beautiful. It still looks beautiful to this day. Has anybody held a Vita and a Nintendo Switch? Hold them together. Hold them together. You'll be surprised, bro. You will be surprised at how beautiful that Vita looks right next to the Nintendo Switch. You'll be surprised. The Vita looks amazing. Still today. How is that? Sony, you nailed it. Kudos to you. Beautiful. So, and it's a portable device. May I mention that? For those who don't know, it's a portable device. Just beautiful. Also very innovative as well. I have here the rear touchpad. Okay, so you got this beautiful look, and the rear touchpad was something that when I touched, I said, yo, oh my God, this is nice. And it's being used in gameplay mechanics. Let's move on, man. The Vita also, I could say Vita for homebrew is probably one of the best in this list with Wii U. But Vita having the portability kind of takes the Wii U out. That's the only thing I will say that would take the Wii U out. If you got a huge memory card, okay, which by the way, they're probably selling cheap now because nobody wants them. But if you have a huge memory card and you load it up with games, you're good to go. And I'm sure there's a way to play your games via the cloud and a lot of things if you're using homebrew, right? Wii U, all right? Very innovative as well. Notice how all these consoles, one of the things I'm mentioning is innovation. I think innovation is what makes a console iconic. Notice the best failed console don't have Philips CDI on here, right? We don't have that. We don't have Atari Jaguar. We don't have Atari Lynx because those are not best failed consoles. Those consoles did not provide the innovation that we needed. Wii U did. It introduced the concept of a second screen. It was one of the first times I thought about, like, I could be playing on this screen and everybody else looking at this screen. I'm looking at something that nobody else is looking at, right? So if I'm playing Mario Party and I'm 1 versus 3, I have a view that no one else has. That is a beautiful thing. It introduced the second screen with the gamepad. Yo, that's dope. I'm sorry, that's dope. And none of these systems I named, by the way, this one was backwards compatible. Yes, Wii games did work with the Wii U. It had a Wii side, a whole nother Wii. It pretty much lets you play Wii. Shout out to kudos to Nintendo. Kudos. All right. Now, let's move on. So, Ouya. Innovation again. This was at a time where people were playing mobile games, but they didn't have the devices strong enough or their screens weren't big enough. They didn't want to pay all these, high amounts of money for big screens. So Ouya was going to be the middle ground for that, for those people who love their mobile games, but now they can play them on a TV and you could be able to use a controller and enjoy your games. Okay. I think the biggest thing for this, and this is something that I actually just thought about, not in my notes here, because really the biggest thing I put is innovation, bringing the mobile games to the TV. But Indie games. A lot of people do not know Ouya has thousands of indie games. The indie market flourished for the Ouya. There were a lot of developers who love making things for the Ouya because it's open source. You're able to just anybody, you could learn, hey, I'm a brand new developer in school. I'm developing, but I want to learn something. Let me try the Ouya and make a Ouya game. Maybe someone can play my game. This is something that I think would be wonderful if we could have open source for more consoles like that, where you just build games, you just do whatever you want to do. And I think it was beautiful for the Ouya to do that and the indie market flourish. So that's a big one for the Ouya. Okay. Sega Saturn, I already said a lot of things, man, because I love Sega Saturn, but strong arcade ports. Okay, them arcade ports, right? Virtual Fighter, done. We ain't got to say nothing else. Virtual Fighter, well, oh my God, it looks so beautiful. Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3 took a while, but we got it. Okay, and when we got it, yes, beautiful. Okay, arcade ports. It also went with the CD format at the time. There was a decision between CD and cartridge based because I think they were Nintendo 64. It was another console, but cartridge and CD was a big fight at this time. And Sega Saturn made a smart decision with going with CD because that seemed to take on the market from then on. So that was another thing. But great games. Okay, it did have some great games. All right, it might have been a small list, but it had some great games. I got here Panzer Dragoon. Okay, for those who don't remember, Panzer Dragoon is classic. Okay, classic. And I said Knights. If you don't like Knights, then forget you. I like Knights. Okay, and I'm a dude. All right. I like Knights. I love the beautiful lights and going through it. Suit my mind. I'm the type of dude that listen to jazz and play solitaire. So Knights, okay, but Sega Saturn, that is why excellent arcade ports. I mean, and when we say arcade ports, I'm not just talking like, oh, it almost got it close. No, we talking arcade perfect. Like these things was perfect arcade. And I'm gonna go even further. Let me do you a step further. They were not just perfect arcade ports, they had additionals. So think of an arcade port with now unlockable characters, arcade ports with now more modes, arcade ports with so many stages, customizable characters. We're talking beautiful. Oh, Sega Saturn, love you. Okay, now Panasonic 3DO. I'ma say, for me, you know, some people say, what is the big thing with 3DO? Why is it the best failed console? Like, to me, it was close. Like, this could have been replaced with some of those other consoles that I mentioned failed before. What separates it, it's a couple different things. For me, notice I mentioned innovation for all these consoles except Sega Saturn. Even though it went with the CD format, I still believe the innovation. It was other consoles, there was other things going on with CDs at the time. They knew it was coming. They decided to go with CD. I don't think that was really innovative. It was, you know, brave, might have been a risk, but I don't think innovative. I do think Panasonic 3DO, and quote me if I'm wrong, all right? Correct me if I'm wrong, excuse me, all right? But I think it's the first console I wrote here that used CD-ROMs. I think it's the first video game console. May have been others, but the first one I know that used CD-ROMs. So CD-ROMs, we know what happened with that. That is where everything went. It was the first system that went there, which, by the way, more storage, better audio, just so much faster. I think it was, I won't say faster load times because I do believe the cartridges had faster load times at the time. But they had one other thing that I could say that separates them and was also very innovative. Panasonic 3DO was one of the consoles that actually licensed out who made their hardware. And let me make sure I did. Yeah, okay, because I did put license. I had to check license because I thought they just had other people make it, but no, Panasonic 3DO. So Panasonic actually got other people to make the hardware. So that's like, hey, if I called up Sony, yo, Sony, could you make me a couple 3DOs? Could I, call up these people? Could you make me a couple 3DOs? Could you make me a couple 3DOs? And they do it, right? That's what they do. So that's another one. Bam. Yo, we killing it, man. And these is gonna be quick. I'm gonna go through these because I do want to bring people on. But I know we tuning in, and those listening in right now, I see y'all. It's hot. Everybody's listening in. I'm gonna keep it. We on to the next. Everything is spot on right now. Tell me if I'm wrong on something. Let me know. Correct me. All right. Dr. Specimen said he calculated the 3DO today would be priced $1,473. Dang, I said $1,700. I was pretty close. Like, yo, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. So I'm gonna take a sip. Okay. So, what are the top 10 selling games for each console? Now, this was pretty difficult because I could have grabbed all this data, but I ain't gonna lie, y'all. I was running short on time. Had to get to the show. But what I did get was iconic games, right? For each console. So y'all let me know if these games, which console do you think had the better lineup of games? That's what I want to know. Which one had the better lineup of games? Sega Dreamcast, Sonic Adventure, Crazy Taxi, Soul Calibur, Resident Evil Code Veronica, Shenmue. All right. I didn't put any sports titles in there, but Sega Dreamcast, we got Sonic Adventure, Crazy Taxi, Soul Calibur, Resident Evil Code Veronica, and Shenmue. That's a nice 5. That's a nice 5 I've written down. Now, somebody said Skies of Arcadia before or something else. I know I'll be dissing some. My bad. But that's the 5 I got. PlayStation Vita, 5 games. Uncharted Golden Abyss, Persona 4 Golden, Killzone Mercenary, Gravity Rush, Final Fantasy. Now, that's a Persona 4 Golden. But I will say Sega Dreamcast, I would go with the Dreamcast list right now over that. That's just me. But to repeat again, PlayStation Vita, Uncharted Golden Abyss, Persona 4 Golden, Killzone Mercenary, Gravity Rush, Final Fantasy. All right. I see my man Frank. Frank said Dreamcast for best games. I'm with you right now, Frank. I'm with you. Okay. I think Dreamcast. So, and for Final Fantasy, I mean, that's Final Fantasy. I don't have it written down. X/X2 remaster. I don't know. One of those. X/X2 HD remaster, something like that. But it's one of those Final Fantasies. All right. Wii U. Ooh, it's going to be tough. I don't want to see the Dreamcast because right now I got the Dreamcast right on the list. But let's see. Wii U. Swallow. Nintendo is always hard to beat, man. Mario Kart 8. Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U. Super Mario 3D World. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Splatoon. Yo, hold up. Let me repeat that. Nintendo Wii U, 5 games I have listed. Mario Kart 8. Super Smash Brothers for the Wii U. Super Mario 3D World. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Splatoon. Yo, every one of them hits, bro. Every one of them hits. Now, if I got to choose between the list, I'm not going to lie. I'm going Wii U. I'm turning over. I got to turn over on down. Dreamcast, I ain't got Power Stone, so I ain't got no. Where my good multiplayers at besides Soul Calibur? Like Nintendo Wii U, I got it all. All right, I got my multiplayers. I got my single player. I got my. Okay. So, Ouya. Now, Ouya, I told you I played a lot of indie titles, so I didn't have much. Okay. But the 2 games that I heard were big games, I did not play them, was Towerfall and Final Fantasy 3. I heard these were big games on the Ouya, but Ouya has thousands of indie games that you can just download and play. Like, that's beautiful. You can just go grab them. Bro, they're free. They're free. Like, just go out there and download them and play them. Like, how much better can you get? Like, just go download any of the games, play them. Some of them you might feel like are your best games, but Towerfall and Final Fantasy 3 are 2 I have for Ouya. Okay. Here we go. Sega Saturn. Now, here we go, baby. Come on, Sega Saturn. Don't let me down. All right, let me take a sip. Sega Saturn. Virtua Fighter 2. Nights into Dreams. Panzer Dragoon Saga. Sega Rally Championship. Daytona, USA. Let me repeat the list for those who did not hear me. Sega Saturn list that I have here. Virtua Fighter 2. Nights into Dreams. Panzer Dragoon Saga. Sega Rally Championship. Daytona, USA. Oh, man. That's a... now, one thing I'm going to say about that list, Virtua Fighter 2, bam, arcade. Nights into Dreams. I told you nights, okay? Panzer Dragoon, beautiful. Sega Rally Championship, another arcade classic. Daytona, USA, another arcade classic. Yo, they were hitting with the arcades. Now, this is what's going to catch a lot of people off guard. 3DO didn't have a lot of games, but I'm about to name some that's going to probably change your mind about how you feel with Panasonic 3DO. The list of games I have here for Panasonic 3DO. Gex. Road Rash. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Need for Speed. Myst. That's a nice list, yo. That's a nice list. One more time. Panasonic 3DO games. Gex. Road Rash. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Need for Speed. Myst. Every single one of those that I named in that list are hits, are classics. Gex, for those who don't know, Gex is still gaming culture. Okay, so Gex has been around. Road Rash, we all know what Road Rash did. Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, and you're talking about playing with high quality graphics and audio, by the way. Need for Speed. Do y'all know what Need for Speed was back then? I don't think y'all know. Need for Speed was everything back then. And Myst. Yo, Myst is so iconic. They remade it. It is beautiful. It was storytelling before people really knew how to storytell. That's a crazy list, yo. I'm not going to lie. If I have to rank the list, I'm going first Wii U, right? Wii U first. My second would... This is crazy to say for me. Dang, this is tough, man. My second, I'm going to go with Sega Dreamcast, right? That's tough. And the reason I'm going Sega Dreamcast because the overlapping games, the way things are, right? But the next, I would go Panasonic 3DO. Then I would go Sega Saturn. Then I would go Vita. Then I go Ouya. You know what I mean? So bingo. There we go. Top games, right? I told y'all, yo, didn't I say get the popcorn? Now, this is the last one right here. And I have my notes. I'm gonna go over these quick. These ain't nothing but notes I had on top of my notes. But I ain't gonna lie, I'm so flaming today. I didn't even have to refer to my notes, yo. Like I'm on it. I don't know what's going on. Another sip. Now, so these are just quick ones, and then we're gonna let in a couple people to talk, want to come in, but these are just some ones I want to preference out there so people know, okay, or reference. I don't know. I'm already sipping too much hard iced tea. Okay, so what is the lifespan of each console? A lot of people want to know what is the lifespan. I think this has a lot to do with also why it would be a best failed console, right? I think a best failed console should be able to last. That's just something that I think. If you're a best failed console, now you would think, oh, timing and things. Yeah, I agree. But if you're the best failed console, you could have probably persevered through some of that. Don't you agree? All right. So lifespan of each console. Let's start with Sega Dreamcast. Sega Dreamcast, Lifespan, it was released in November of 98. They stopped making them on March 2001. Yes, 3 years, pretty much. If 3, you know what I'm saying? Ain't much time. But Dreamcast went from 98 to 2001. And for those who do not know, that was actually like pretty much from freshman year to senior year for me. So high school was love. I ain't gonna lie to you. You know what I'm saying? High school was love. Dreamcast popping, baby. Oh, snap. You know what I'm saying? But let me chill out. All right. So PlayStation Vita, December of 2011 to March of 2019. That is a nice long lifespan. And I will add a caveat on top of that. It is probably the most played console today out of all of these. That would be my assumption. Nintendo Wii U, November 2012 to January of 2017. Okay, not bad. Wii U still persevered. Okay, we see PlayStation Vita. They was doing it. They was still persevering too. Ouya, June 2013 to June of 2015. Oh, y'all, man, no. Sorry, y'all. That ain't good. That ain't good, man. Ouya bowed out fast, but you know it's business, man. If you got to bow out and take what you can, you do it. But shout out to Ouya because you made the list. So congratulations. But 2 years. Ugh. Sega Saturn, November of 94 to December of 2000. That's pretty much 6 years. Sega Saturn, and you were battling. So I'm gonna give Saturn credit. Even if Saturn would have went 3 years, 4 years, I would have gave it credit because you were battling, sir. Sony was out there. Sony was spanking. At this time, Nintendo, Sony, oh man, it was a battle. Okay, it was a battle. So let's do the last but not least. Panasonic 3DO went from October of 93 to December of 96. 3 years. Okay. That's about 3 years. All right. So out of all the systems, the shortest one was Ouya, which lasted 2 years. But we got a couple systems that was in a 3-year span. We got Sega Dreamcast 3-year span. Then we also got Panasonic 3DO that was in a 3-year span. So those systems were 3 years or under. So out of that one, I would say PlayStation Vita kind of dominated that one. All right, so there we go. I see my man BB. BB, what's going on? Good to have you tuned in, man. We going over this juicy stuff, man. It's a good debate. I need everybody to give me their opinions, and I want to know how you feel about these things, right? So, which console is the most popular now? I told you guys already, PlayStation Vita. I didn't even have to look at my notes. I think PlayStation Vita is the most popular out of all of these because of its portability, and retro gaming is very big right now. So a lot of people are modding their PlayStation Vitas and taking them somewhere else. Okay. So I would say PlayStation Vita, most popular right now. And I got BB in the comments said he still loves his Atari Lynx. Oh man, I ain't gonna lie, man. It's classic. It's classic, man. Atari Lynx. And that screen was kind of big. And I think was Atari Lynx 64-bit? No, it was 32-bit graphics, but I think it was on the handheld at the time. That was a big deal. And I believe it had some of the fighting games that were like arcade ports. I believe it had that on Atari Lynx. So shout out Atari Lynx. You know what I mean? Didn't make the list though. Did not make the list. Panasonic 3DO was the last one. I don't know if you see it. Panasonic 3DO. Okay. And we could swap some of these, to be honest. Which console is the best for emulators and homebrew? This is debatable for all my people who love to mod consoles and play their retro games and play other things on it. But nonetheless, for those people, it's a toughie. I would have to say PlayStation Vita though, because portability. I think portability makes it just put the icing on the cake. One thing I will say with the Wii U is I've seen people run certain arcade ports. Like there's a Mario Racing that was in the arcade that I've seen someone play on the Wii U. that you could not play on the Vita. There were a lot of things that I've seen play on the Wii U that should not have been playing. Like, I'm like, how did you get that? How does that even play? And they're like, man, look, it's the arcade. You can hook up controllers. You can hook up, so it has a lot that I think goes, a little underrated, but PlayStation Vita, the portability, and these emulators run nice, and you got all your ROMs and everything right there. So PlayStation Vita, it is. Now, I'm going to get ready to bring in Dr. Specimen, but one moment, just as I go through my notes, I just want to see if there's anything I left out here. Okay, so there's a couple things that I'm going to quickly mention. So, I wanted to know, these are a couple things that I researched. What was Sony's reason for going with the proprietary memory card? Wondered that. There was no reason. Couldn't find anything. But the guess is that they probably tried to, somehow lock down the hardware market, or maybe they figure, hey, our memory cards are better. Other people will want to start using them, start making, that kind of thing. Didn't work out for them. Okay. Nintendo went with the Wii U to signify the console was for you, which was very bad, because Wii and then Wii U sounds like a second U, like Wii, but they wanted the U to mean you. Bad. Okay, that was another one I didn't mention. Also the industry for the Ouya was dominated by everybody else at the time. So that's why you weren't seeing a lot of first party games for the Ouya. It was just a lot of people found the benefit of other places to go first. Okay. Next, Ouya, I put was like a mid-range smartphone. All right. I'm gonna get you. It wasn't tough at all. Wasn't no big boy. All right. Wasn't no NVIDIA Shield. Stop that. Okay. Next. So, the early release for Sega Saturn. Sega unexpectedly launched the Saturn at the first E3 event in May of 1995, and this was months before its planned release. Okay. Anything else I got? No, they had Panasonic 3DO. They used companies like Sanyo, Gold Star. Panasonic also made their consoles. So there were other systems that were, or other makers, I would say, that they used, and those are some of them. Of course, Vita had the longest lifespan, and Ouya had the shortest. That was something else I took there. I don't think I got nothing else. That was kind of all my notes. And yes, sir, PS Vita, I see that. Wii U for the home, Vita if you want portable. And Frank Gonzalez said they were selling the Vita at a loss, so they thought they'd make it up in memory card sales. Now, I'm going to go